All right. So to say that again, add where you are uh, zooming in from. Oh, looks like we have some North Carolina people. Cleveland, welcome. South Carolina folks, yay. How exciting. Very exciting to see you here with us. Um, Again, I see some new faces. I see some familiar faces. I'm Dr. Deetra Hawkins. Oh, yay. We've got like Portland, Oregon. Wonderful. Great to have you here. So, in Orange County, so that means it is early where you are. So thank you for being here so early in the morning. Um, we are always excited to see folks. I think if you're able to look at everyone on the screen right now, I want you to just take in that there's a community of people across the country who want to be able to see change and want to be change makers and want to know that there's an approach for how to do this work in a way that can be engaging. So I am grateful to see all of you here, and I hope that you just take that picture in to kind of like start off with. So we only have a short hour. We try to do these monthly, and we'll have a giveaway toward the end. We have a few things that are developing that you can sign up for on a wait list coming up very soon. So wanted to let you know about that. I am going to go ahead and shift your boxes in a moment because I want to get my slides up. So let me get that going. So slides are here. Let's start the slideshow. Let me see how to get us going so that I can both see you and see my slides. All right. So we're here today to talk about appreciative inquiry, specifically wanting to help introduce how we can use this approach to do community engagement. I am Dr. Deetra Hawkins, and I live in Atlanta. I've been doing and using this appreciative approach for more than 20 years, I would say at this point. And part of the way I got to doing this work is I was trained as a psychologist. I have been doing lots of community evaluation work, had actually been part of some projects that were like nationally recognized as being really awesome. And then didn't get continued funding. And I was truly depressed. Like, how is this work? And part of that was because I was naive and new in my career and all of those things, and didn't kind of realize the flow of how grant funding works. Is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. Yes, no. And so what I have had a commitment to over the years is making sure that when I go into a community or I support other people in doing community engagement, that we go in understanding that we have to meet people where they are and provide something that they need. And that if you can't promise anything, that you are at least helping them connect with each other. Because in many cases, communities that I've been in, that's almost been the most rewarding thing that they get, is that they get to see, oh my gosh, they are not alone. So I wanted to start off by saying, like, today, it's important that we have that positive core to begin with, right? Like that you are going in with this idea of something is working in that community. And when you show up, even if it's just one person, you engage that person and you say, thank you for making time in your busy schedule. Like I want to say to you now, thank you for making time in your busy schedule to just show up, and then see there are others who are like you. The second thing that's important here is that we can build relationships by learning how to ask questions in a way that invites dialogue instead of inviting debate or looking for the problem. I just observed an organization trying to have a conversation, and they started off with, what are the needs? And let me tell you, that like leads to people competing on what the needs are. We don't need to do that. All right, I'm going to try and let me take it down a moment because I get kind of we can do better. All right, so the last thing is to have some tools for how to make a shift. And one of those actually is like taking a moment to breathe. So if you don't mind, if we can do this together for a few deep breaths. Want to have us take a deep breath in and let it out. Take another deep breath in and let it out. We'll do this one more time, a deep breath in and let it out. So sometimes we have to model it and we have to bring it to others. And it's important that we think about this so that we can actually access that part of our brain that helps us to think about what is true, good, and possible instead of what's not working. So I want my team to wave hello. Hopefully they're here. Elizabeth, Tony, I know Tawana will be joining us in a little bit. And you want them here because they help us get you rewards and information and all of that. And I also like to say as a tool and a strategy, don't go alone. Don't show up alone. Take people with you. So we often also start with another tool and strategy, which is to show some transparency. And we do that by sharing our basic tenets. Today, I won't go through all of these, but I do think it's important to be aware of our personal filters. So I'm here to, thinking a lot about community. And we are going to do one breakout, I'm sure, today. Part of what I want you to be thinking about is like, what comes up for you when we think of community? What communities are you part of? What is that word? Because again, with filters and that sort of thing, we have to be aware that the way I think of community may be very different than the way that someone else is thinking of community. And the way we experience community is also important, that we are engaging from an inquiry space. What does that actually mean? The one that I want to highlight today in terms of a approach is the first one. It's easy to think about like cookbook kind of thing. So, but from an appreciative lens, sorry, let me go back for a second. From an appreciative lens, one of the things that's important is you should take what works and leave the rest. So if I say something here as a strategy and that's not going to work in your community, that's cool, right? And if there's another way to sort of tweak it, so to share a quick story, had a session we did with some police officers, and I often introduce this idea of oops and ouch. Anybody familiar with that? Can I get a thumbs up? Anybody hear what oops and ouch is? Okay. So people who've been with me know what oops and ouch is. So oops is when you have said something and you notice with the group, it did not go the way you wanted it to go. You can say oops. All right. And ouch is when someone else has said something or done something. And they're like on your toe. You say ouch to let people know that it touched something and you need them to get off that toe. Well, I had police officers say, can we say something else? And I was like, my bad? Does my bad work? Right. And so that became our thing. I just want to, like, we all need to just be able to take ownership and like work with the group. So cookbook approaches don't always work. This is not me trying to say this is how you do it. I really want you to just be mindful and maybe give you some tools to pay attention to so that you can adjust and work with an organization. So tools are to show up and to practice some transparency, to say, hey, this is how we think about change, and that you are transparent about that, and then move into a space of asking them what would be helpful and supportive to them. Okay. So we're going to try and do a poll. Are you able to see the poll? All right. Not everybody is able to see it.
We see a slide with the word poll on it.
Okay. Well, tell you what, I will stop sharing my screen then so that maybe you can see the poll. let's see. Oh, how do I get this to move?
Teacher, I think I launched it. Did that launch for everybody?
Yeah.
Now, okay. It's weird. I can launch it. Y'all can see it. I can't see it. So
Okay.
it's launched, but Teacher Tony might have to.
I can see it.
Okay.
Surprisingly, but this, yes.
I can
Okay.
see it. I think the problem was I launched it too, Elizabeth. So we're good.
Yes. So I'm gonna let people answer questions here. We're almost at 50% so far. All right, we're about at 72%. Yay. Okay, and just a few more of you will finish these out and we'll share the results. All right, let's end the poll and share the results. Is everyone able to see the results? Few of us. Okay, great. So first off, lovely to have so many of you who have not heard of the guide. So this gives you an opportunity to go on our website and download our small group conversation guide. So this is a tool that we have put together for those of you who are trying to lead community conversations and you want something easy to follow. This gives you a link to a video, it gives you the questions, it gives you strategies for how to have the conversation. So if you are looking for resources to do that, that is there. There will probably be an update to some of those in the next coming months, but excited that you, so many of you that would be new. So definitely do that. And so then we asked, have you used it? So we're excited that the people who have downloaded it have, and then of course that, you know, you will hopefully download it and be able to use that tool. Also, a number of you have not yet participated in our cohort, our equity cohort. So this is a redesign of our facilitator cohort because we heard from people that they were really trying to find ways to bring equity into their day-to-day. How do you take this concept of dialogue versus debate, or what it means to be moving in the direction of you know, being supportive of all different cultural groups and being intersectional and being able to have conversations for that. So it's 6 weeks, 75 minutes live with video content. And what we're finding is the community is really rich. It's also really a beginning. So this is not meant to be like, hey, you do this and you're all done. It's really meant to give you some foundational pieces in a way that you can, you know, access weekly. And we're excited for those who are going to be able to show up. I know we've got quite a number coming for the next one. You're certainly welcome. We're also working with some groups that have decided to bring it internal to their organization. So if you're in a position for that, and you've got 40 people that you want to have participate in a cohort, let us know. We'll work with you. Oh, and even more, you haven't come to a dinner. Come on. Okay, so this is fun. So almost 60% of you have not yet been to one of our dinners. We do dinner events, and a couple of people here have been to many. we do these virtually, we do these in person. Maybe we can share out with you. I'm thinking, Elizabeth, we can maybe post, there's a little documentary that was done on one of our first big events called the Decatur Dinners, in which we had over 120 dinners happen on one night all over the city. So I share that because we are in process here in Atlanta to do 500 during the week in September. And if you want to join in on this Thrive Atlanta initiative to really talk about health equity, I would encourage you to check in with us and connect with Equitable Dinners. And out of hand, we are actively helping those conversations happen because health equity is the intersection of all of these things that we care about. Love to see that we've got people who are part of DEI committees, who are doing community outreach. So you're in the right place. And if you said other, please add in chat what those other roles are. And yay, yes, we're happy to be here, right? We're happy to be here. Yay. Okay. I love that. So I think I need to share my screen again so you can see my slides. Yep, here we go. So what I wanted to ask in chat, after doing all those things, and of course, if there are any questions, please put them in chat. We're excited to hear and understand. And yeah, some people might have like, oh, I think we understand what this is and how all these pieces go together. This is all very exciting. So here's my question for you. When you want to start to engage the community, for you, what do you think about where you should start? Like, what kinds of information do you typically want to know? And I'm happy if one person wants to be brave to say something, you can raise your hand. But also to add it in the chat. What kind of information do you typically want to know when you're engaging the community? Yes, so what are the issues? I do think we need to ask questions more about what the benefits of community are, because I don't know that people think about community all the time, as we, sort of shifted in our culture. Who's the group? Excellent. Demography, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. And then what kind of questions might you ask the community? What is not being heard? Excellent. Thank you for that. Yeah, what's not been addressed? What are some of the pain points maybe? So a question, that I have here toward the bottom. What a great question, Connie. Like, well, what's top of mind for you, right? That might be a much more open question. What community centers exist already? Exactly. What does it even mean to them? So wanted to mention that as we think about the questions we want to be asking, wonderful Lonnie, like what's going well? What are you proud about in your community? Our questions often shift based on who we are and who we're talking to, right? So if you're talking to some middle school students or some parents of teens, you might have some different questions you'd be asking. If you're a politician, you're going to ask a different question. And recently I've been talking with a lot of people who work with parks and arborists, trees, paying attention to trees. So that's a different kinds of questions that we might be asking as well. So we like to be a bit interactive when we can. So I'm going to invite us to do a very quick breakout conversation. And what I'd like you to come back with like 3 questions as a group, do you want to like ask? And we should have a full range, just lots of different questions. So Tony, you typically are getting our rooms together. How many people do we have in a room?
We have 3 in all rooms except one has 4.
All right, so let's take 6 minutes for this breakout. and try to just come up with what some of the questions are as a group. Say hello, what brought you here? This is always a nice opportunity to connect with a few people, and then we'll be back. Yes. Yes, we don't want to kick anyone out. Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you had a chance to connect to someone you might not know. Want to thank all of you for leaning in. So can I get like 2 brave people to share with me some questions? And of course, if you want to add it in chat, that would be great. So if you want to like raise your hand. Anybody?
I can go.
Thank you, Chad.
I think Brittany brought up a great question. What is working well in the community? I think a lot of times we always look at the bad, but some things are really going really well in communities.
Yes. Excellent. What else? What else might be a good question?
This is Tanya. I can share. We had a couple of people, well, 2 of us from our group that worked with like community of like students and educational system. So in
Yeah.
addition to, oh, thank you. So in addition to what I think Chad just said about what's going well, we could also ask like, what are you hoping to get out of this, whatever we're coming together for a program or whatever,
Yes.
and what are you willing to contribute to ensure the success of whatever we're trying to do?
Absolutely. Love that. What are the supports available? What are you noticing? Yes. Love that. Well, let me share my screen. These are great. And those are very typically the beginnings of the questions that we talk about often from an appreciative lens, right? From a both and perspective, and what we try to do is, help you be equipped with how to turn things in, flip it into opportunities. So one of the things that I wanted to mention today from an appreciative lens is that the questions that we ask are going to talk about what is there first instead of looking at the ditch. So yes, like what's working, what's making a difference, what would you like to have come out of this? What's bringing you together? And then the other part of this is that we want to pay attention to the kinds of questions that we ask that people assume, right? When we think about change, start here. So there's an assumption, we've all heard it. Well, we got to get the top on, we got to do this trickle down, right? Or we need it to be grassroots. We've all heard this. And what we're suggesting is that you start where you are. We're suggesting that you build from the inside out and you think about this work as being core and that we need to connect it all. Communities that I know often are doing great work, but they are not in a position to tell their own stories, right? And so when you're trying to get to know a community, it's not just flipping the questions, it's learning how to ask the question into a direction where you're hearing stories, because people hold on to stories better than they hold on to facts. So some of my favorite questions, what do people here show up for? And to get a story about that, is that gardening that's important in this community? And is it a particular time of year? I grew up in Memphis. Memphis in May has a whole thing to it. You learn how to cook, it's a whole thing. And we need to know that story and that history, right? Who are the natural connectors? Sometimes that's church people, sometimes it is not. Sometimes there are different people for different reasons who are those connectors, and you want to know the story and why and where we might find them. So one of my favorite stories is we were working with a group of teenagers talking about creating an app, and they told us that actually what we need to do is create gossip. Okay, that it wasn't the app. And they told us what corner we needed to stand on and what time and who needed to be doing what so you could overhear the conversation for this. And I will never, ever forget that, because it was like, oh, right, we think we're being so sophisticated. They were like, actually, if you want to do what you want to do, this is what we got to do. And then one of my favorite other questions here is, what are people here proud of? And again, that is calling for a story. That is calling for, leaning into the resilience of this community. And there's always that resilience that is there. So I want us to start off by just being mindful of the kinds of questions that we ask, how we use our stories, how we use that perspective, right? And that when we are inviting these questions to the community, that you are facilitating the conversation so that they're not debating, oh no, it was this, oh no, it was that, right? That both things are true. It is both 4 and 3. Because when I come over to your perspective, I can see where you are, and that there always are going to be multiple perspectives. So this is really important from this appreciative lens, that we're not inviting the community to debate each other. We just want to get all the different ideas out there. And then we can talk about, well, what would be our best experience in moving forward? What are the possibilities that we can build on from this perspective? So appreciative inquiry builds on what's called the 4D, 5D process. And it is, really a flip on problem solving. We often go deeper into this in terms of creating more questions for you and actually showing you how to use this to create what I will call being generative. Okay. Because as you develop where you want to go and you co-construct, and then you start to move into sustainability, you want to wrap back into what's continuing to give us life. You're not done, and you want to keep passing it on. So these are the things that I think are very helpful in the work that we do. I always share this slide because my team loves it the most. I get requested to share this slide as what appreciative inquiry looks like. And part of this is to help the community to recognize when they're talking about fixing things, when the goal is creating a plan, right? When we're trying to analyze what's going on. And what we want to say is like, yes, we can get to that, but first we need to start over here. We need to together embrace that, hey, we're in this together. Oh, this is what people show up for. Oh, this is what's giving us life. Oh, these are the things that could actually make a difference, and really recognize that we should take the moment to appreciate what is possible. The part I see we leave out is dreaming. And yet most of us wouldn't be here if we didn't do this. So I'm building on work that I've done for years in communities with my colleague, David Stainer. And we work with communities that need to refocus on putting the person in the center instead of a problem in the center. Sometimes we call this creating a recovery plan, right? But I see this as helpful for people, for individuals, for systems, for communities, that we all need to learn how to together listen for what are the interests, dreams, and hopes, and not just what the problems are and what the possibilities are for being able to make change. Because that's what's going to sustain you when you get stuck. Because we're all going to get stuck. So what's going to help push you through that stuckness? This is what helps push us through the stuckness when we use an approach and ask questions that help us with this. So, yeah, I thought I would have time to share. We'll send this video. Are any of you familiar with this little video? Yes. It's only a minute. Let's see what happens. If I click on it, is it going to let me? Okay, I have to stop share, reshare.
This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla? This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris and is copyrighted. It's available for use in talks, training, and teaching on DVDs.
Close this out. Okay. Um, I always think it's fun to like share a little piece. So when we're thinking about using appreciative approaches, everything is working, what we focus on matters. That's what I'm really, getting at with sharing with you that little video. So I not only think it's important to use appreciative inquiry for the work that we do, I also think it's important from the perspective of addressing issues of equity, being anti-racist, being aware of our biases, and that this really helps us. So I'm not going to go through all the assumptions in appreciative inquiry. There are actually 8, but I thought I would do a little bit of a deeper dive on a few. So the first is recognizing that in every community, something is working. Okay. That we go in with that expectation. And that, when you show up, you're not mad at people when they come and take the food and then leave, right? Like you celebrate that they came, whatever it is, but finding ways to like really lean in with a sense of possibility. The second assumption that is important and kind of goes along with that video that I just shared is that reality is going to be created in the moment. So what we focus on is going to be what we notice. And if we're noticing the people passing the ball, that's what we're going to notice. Or if we're looking for the gorilla, right, then that's what we notice. If we are only talking about the things that are getting in the way, then that tends to get magnified. And so as facilitators in our work, we need to be positioned to be able to hold all of it. Right? To be able to hold all of those different things. I don't know about you, but when I get brought into a community for things, I'm usually told about stuff that has nothing to do with what I was originally hired for. Okay. Right. And what I've learned to do with that is bring that in, because people first need to be heard before saying, oh, well, that's not the place for that. That doesn't help. That doesn't help. And so we have to find ways to say, great, thank you. Thank you. How can we move this into another, what would be helpful here? Just learning how to really take in whatever anyone is sharing with you, and being appreciative to that. So the next piece that I think is really important, and I don't know, do you see this little glass here? Okay. I like being able to bring in sort of images of things. So one is that reality is going to be created in the moment, and there are multiple realities, right? So sometimes we're like paying attention to like the sun that might be coming through, and others of us are paying attention to what might be happening in global things right now, or that we have other stuff that's happening with us personally. So we just want to be aware that those things are happening. And then the key thing that is next is what kind of questions that we ask to help us move in a direction of what I like to call true, good, and possible. So the question that most of us in our culture have been used to asking about this glass is it half empty or half full? Right? And an appreciative question could be, what can we do with the glass? Which gives us lots of different possibilities. You can fill it up, you can pour it out, you can use it for a looking glass. Anybody needing glasses these days? You know how you can use the glasses to help you read things. So there's just lots of different ways that we can do that, and we can practice with our questions. And often what we need is practice in learning how to flip those questions. We need help in being able to think about what are the things that are outside our realm of, sort of possibility. I have so many stories of communities that have come up with all kinds of innovative things that, again, I did not come up with. I can't guarantee that this is what's going to happen, but I can tell you that people will come up with creative things when you create the space for them to do so. What we have to be able to do, and this is not easy to do, but what we have to be able to do is create this dialogue across the differences where we can all recognize what I like to call positional power. Okay. So what that means is I don't need a policymaker to come in and not talk because they're trying to only leave room for other people. I need them to recognize when they talk and how they invite or connect to what other people are saying in the room, right? What questions we ask will make a difference. So if we can all focus together, for example, how can we make our environment more equitable? That means that each of us, if you're a policymaker, a leader, a community stakeholder, will have a different story, a slightly different story, or sometimes a very different story about what it will take to create that equity. And we want to create room in that facilitation to hear all of the different stories and to see what's resident, what is bubbling up, what are people noticing, where it's going to go, and that is part of what we do. But the key thing here is to actually say that we're doing this together and it's about dialogue, not debate. Okay. So what I like to mention is that when we get started with organizations, we often start off with helping people learn how to ask appreciative questions and doing appreciative interviews that allows people to get grounded in their why. Sometimes, because of the way the community is set up, we do those conversations. Sometimes we actually can help the community have those conversations with each other. And that is one of the most engaging networking things that can happen. The second thing that we find is that we have to come together on both having a foundational experience and language so that when I am saying something like dialogue, you understand what I mean versus debate and what I mean. And then helping people learn to use their story to invite others to tell their story and be brave. This is what we primarily do when we work with organizations, and we help people do that. So as I'm closing this up and want to open this up for questions, because that's probably what I do the best, I just wanted to note that we do have our foundations coming up in May. We have a cohort beginning in April, and we are going to be offering a facilitator, what we call 2.0. We're going to have a wait list for that. Because we know that some people have come through our facilitator training and have gotten started, and now they're like, okay, now I need some nuts and bolts of how to actually put this together. And so we want to create that space to support you and community for that. For those of you who are new, haven't been part of any of our stuff, I hope that you will like and follow us. In our last 10 minutes, here, we're going to do a giveaway, but I also just want to, I'm going to let that get set up. I'm going to stop sharing. Love to know what is resonating with you at this point. Or questions. Yes, Carolyn? Oh, we got to come off mute though. There you go.
I guess I needed to confirm it. I understand why LaDonna has been after me to join you.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say.
I got it. Thank you. Well, I want to say thank you to you for showing up and to LaDonna. Is there what is it that is helping you understand that though?
Well, she's just been singing your praises, the organization and you, and we've been partners at Peace Prep Academy for a while, and I just love her, and now I understand why she loves you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Lynette, I see a question. How do you get the small group guide? Our website, if you go to it, there's a little button and it says download the guide. So bothandpartners.com. Everyone, check out the guide. Let us know if we can help you. Susan.
Good morning, Dr. D and all. I have to second that motion of Carolyn's comment. I'm a huge fan. I even listening to again and again just sort of deepens. And the thing that I grapple with a lot in facilitation is flipping the questions. You're creating a bigger realm of possibilities. And that really does take a lot of practice, and really just being able to roll with it and be in it so deeply that it comes to you. It's not like you have to think about or analyze what's the next best question. No, you really have to be in a flow there. So
Yes.
I so appreciate that. In holding all of the various disparate, sometimes, shall we say, on opposite ends of spectrums, right? Different. Yeah. So it's beautiful to hear it again and recognize that, I need continual practice.
We all need practice. We
yeah.
all need practice. I just recently I've been in a process of decluttering. It's been taking me forever. And I came across notes from a session that I was preparing for, like, I don't know, like right out of grad school. And I was like, wow, I was really on it. I wrote down everything I was going to say. And I was also thinking about how I've come so far, right? Because I have been doing this for so long that it is very just innate to be able to have that flow. So if you are writing those questions down, if you are trying to figure out like how to flip and practice, it is about the practice. And it's also being around others who are really good at this. So I had the opportunity to really work and be like alongside other folks. One of my colleagues, David Stainer, absolutely amazing at being able to do a lot of this work. I've also been and witnessed a lot of people who don't do it all that well, and been able to see like, okay, we don't want to go there. Like, I don't want to, repeat those sorts of things. So just recognizing that, but I do think it helps for years. And as we're getting more sort of out in the world, I've always invited people to come along with me just to like be part of the team so you could see and practice together. And if my colleague Tony is here, she'll be like, yeah. And then I'll say, hey, you get this 10 minutes, right? Like you can facilitate that. It's also one of the reasons that we invite people to be facilitators at dinners. And various dinner events, because it's a nice like opportunity to practice being able to sit with a group of people, and you aren't responsible for slides like or content. You just get to help people have a conversation. Not that that is always easy, but that, at least you're not also managing some of those other components. Yeah.
So did you keep that study from grad school? I'm curious because I'm
I
decluttering
did actually. I did. So I've held on to many things that gave me some grounding. So I was like, I'm gonna need this because I want to share with other people that when you come through facilitator training with us, I'm not looking for you to be me. I'm looking for you to be you, and that it's gonna take some time. And some of us, like I know a lot of folks who are like teachers. This is a different skill. I know a lot of people who are speakers who are used to like giving lectures. That's a different skill too. So learning how to pay attention to some of those pieces and getting experience with that. Yeah, so definitely. All right. Well, I wonder if we have our wheel ready to go. Yes, so I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth.
All right, we have two giveaways today. Book by John Blake, More Than I Imagined. And our second book is Be a Revolution. So one of these could be yours if you are the lucky winner of our Wheel of Fortune today. So I am going to share my screen. I am going to spin the wheel and we will see. Hopefully, I did capture everybody who is here and we'll see who is a winner. Okay, first spin. Da, 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 da. I should be playing some like music in the background here. James Wilson, you're here.
Congratulations.
James, congratulations. Be a Revolution is now yours. If you could send me a note in the chat of where you'd like me to send this book, I will ship it out to you this week. And our second book goes to Spinning of the Wheel. Adrian, no, Babs Hall. Babs, are you with us? Adrian, it was so close. I thought you were a winner. Babs, it looks like you're with.
Yes, I'm here.
Babs, this is yours, More Than I Imagined. It's a great story. If you could send me a private message or email me the best address to send your book, we'll get that out to you this week. And thank you all for participating. I'll drop my email in the chat as well.
Well, just
Could
to
you
close.
repeat the titles of those books again, please?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yes, I can drop those in chat as well, so you all can have.
Well, thank you all. Wanted to leave you with just a few takeaways. So one of my favorite statements in an appreciative lens is to focus on what is true, good, and possible instead of the good, the bad, the ugly, so that we are balancing our positives out more than focusing on negatives. Remember that what you focus on is going to grow. So choose what's working. Ask the questions about what is best and possible and good, and find ways to be invitational, intentional, brave, and curious. I think using terms like being brave over safe, our language, absolutely matters as we are working with communities and with people, just, in terms of working with people. So thank you. Again, this was just a little bit, and if you are interested in learning more about how we could bring more of an approach for communities, please reach out to us. We look forward to continuing to connect with you, and we'll hang out for a moment. We'll probably play a few tunes, but thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Susan, is your hand back up? Oh no, okay.